presentation on two-factor authentication, specifically for SSH, although it can be done on many more platforms. So, who am I? Mathew Peterson. I'm 22 years old. I'm a father of two girls. I'm a PHP developer. I've been doing that for over 6 years, probably more on 7 years now. Kind of give you a reference on that. Right now, I currently work at Chalama.com, which is a local startup here in Appleton. I guess on paper, I'm a web developer. However, I do much more than just make websites. I do all the PHP work. Then I also manage the internal network and our cloud server. So I do the Linux administration there.
Weren't you way up north for a while?
Yes, I'm originally from Marinette, Wisconsin, and I worked as a senior web administrator for a couple of years and took over the system administrator job up there, and then recently left about 5 months ago.
Okay.
So now I'm down here.
So you're actually living in this area now?
Yes, I live in
Moving
Oshkosh.
back to Marinette?
I live in Oshkosh.
Okay.
With the eventually finishing my degree in computer science with a software engineering emphasis. So, what is two-factor authentication? Well, it's a combination of two things. It's something you know, like a password, something you have, which are generally called tokens, or something you are, or something you is, according to Wikipedia. And that's like biometrics, fingerprint scanner, eye scanner, or whatever. So it's generally, just a combination of those two. More mainstream, it is a password and then a token. Whether the token would be like RSA hardware token, or a device of some sort, like a soft token. Everything that I do uses my phone, my iPhone. But Android phones have all the software, so you can use those. So that's what I use as my token. Why would you kind of use this? I mean, passwords work, right? They've been around forever. But private things require a username and password. Otherwise, everyone can see that information. But passwords suck. They do. They can be stolen, cracked, phished, guessed, bought, keylogged, sniffed, captured, leaked. Very recently, apparently reset through other mechanisms. I'm sure if you guys are familiar with the guy from Wired magazine who got his online identity compromised through two holes. I believe one was through Amazon, which was able to see his last 4 digits of his credit card number, and the attacker was able to use that information to social engineer his way at Apple to get his password reset through his Apple ID. And then from there he was able to get onto everything, because I believe the backup method for his Gmail was his mobile me account. So, passwords suck. Okay, so specifically we're talking about SSH, right? But I use SSH keys, right? I have, this piece of information, that no one generally can just guess or, brute force or anything. But I've seen some pretty bad stuff as being a sysadmin, and trying to get friends into Linux and stuff throughout the years. I've seen people store their private keys without passphrases, right? So if your machine gets compromised, attacker can have your key. They store them in stupid places. I had a friend who stored it on his web server. Now you kind of had to guess, what it was, but if his web server was compromised, via web application, or a software exploit, and then someone has your key on there, and generally probably use your private key on more than one server. You know, GitHub uses SSH for a lot of their stuff, or public private key pairs. And then also I've seen servers that turn on public private key pairs, but don't turn off plain text password authentication. So, you know, then people are still able to brute force the account, even if you use a SSH key. So, I'm a programmer at heart. I've done lots of Linux sysadmin stuff, but that's not what I like to do for the most part. And I'm very paranoid when it comes to security, just because I don't know a lot of information about security. So I try lock things down as much as I can, but when I heard about you know, this guy from Wired getting his account compromised, and he recommended turning on, you know, two-step or two-factor authentication for Gmail. I went to look to see if there's a way to do it on the server. The couple servers I manage, I have my own VPS, then the server from work, and the newlug server. Generally, I know who's going to be logging into those servers, and I want to have more control over the users that log in, specifically for my user on those boxes. So I heard about this company called Do Security. I won't give you a full background of the company. I think that's relatively irrelevant right now. But it is free for up to 10 users, which is really nice. It's super easy to set up, and there's the website. Some different ways to get you those tokens that you need to actually kind of do this process. They have an app for the smartphones, for iPhone and Android. They have a mobile interface they can use on like Windows Mobile, that, you know, places that they don't have an app. You can actually get text messages, which is kind of cool. So they can email you a like a batch, say 10 tokens, you know, one-time use passcodes. You know, they can keep on your phone, and then they can also call you. When you answer the phone, you press pound or something like that. So you're probably wondering how all this stuff works. You know a little bit about kind of all of this information, right? We have our primary authentication, right? That's going to be our SSH keys, hopefully. Hopefully people aren't using plain password authentication on their publicly accessible boxes. But you do that first step. So at that point, the service doesn't know anything about your login credentials. They don't know your password or your public private key or anything like that. And then from there, once you successfully log in or successfully authenticate using the first, you know, the primary method, it runs a program that communicates back to Do Security and you know, sends out the token or sends out the request. You know, so whether that's like a text message or it's the you know, the push app or whatnot. And if that succeeds, then you're able to actually log in to your account. So what's the step to do it? And what I need to do? We need to download and compile the open source program. It's on GitHub, which is really nice. You put some keys in the API host name. You change your SSHD config depending on what flavor of Linux you're on. That might change, but you add the force command, and you enroll your device, and you're done. Profit, right? It's really easy. So I'll go through step by step on what exactly you need to do. So once you download the file, just untar it and configure, make install. There's no configuration at the compile time, so it's pretty nice. I did it on Ubuntu 12.04 and had 0 issues compiling. It's super simple. We'll go and add our API keys and our hostname. So there's a ini in Etsy Duo login Duo account. So it's just a simple ini file. You go on the website, when you set everything up, and they'll give you this information. It's pretty simple. And you choose your favorite editor, Vim or Emacs or so once you get all that set up, we're able to use the binary to communicate to Duo Security and actually perform the authentication. So they recommend doing the test. So you run the binary and it says, hey, we don't know who you are, enroll yourself. So you go to that URL, you copy and paste it, and from there it'll ask you what kind of token you want to use, if you want to use text messages or if you have a smartphone. And if you have a smartphone, it will text you a link to whether the App Store or the Android market to download the app. And then once you download the app, it will send you another text message that you open up and will start up the actual app on the phone to enroll the device onto Duo Security servers. So once you do your testing, this is kind of what it looks like. You can do a phone call or SMS passcode, and so you tell it which one you want to do. If you have a smartphone attached to it, you get a different option, say dual push. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So we test it, we get the code, we type in the code, and log in. Super simple. The only thing you need to do to actually enable this for SSH is this one line, right? Once you log in, it will force this command to be ran, and that will run the binary that does the actual two-step, the second step. They recommend that you turn the commit tunnel and allow TCP forwarding off, because if you are authenticated the first time and you're sitting at the shell waiting for this second step to be authenticated, you can actually still do stuff on the network. If you have like PuTTY or whatever, you can still get onto that network because you're connected to the machine, but the machine is waiting for the two-step to actually execute the bash shell. But you already made the connection to the machine using your password or the key file. So they just recommend turning that off to be super secure as much as you can. So to see it in action, just a simple screenshot, and I'll actually show it to you right now. But you go through and you SSH into the hostname. It'll give you options. So right now, this person only has one phone set up. They have, push enabled. And they say, hey, send me the push. And you get a notification on your phone saying, hey, this person is trying to connect to the server. This is their information. This is the command that they're trying to run. What would you like to do? Would you like to allow or deny? So it's really nice. It's super simple. Super simple. So let's go back and try it. So first, we'll do my passphrase. Type in, Okay. So it's like, okay, we were able to establish the handshake. So how do you want to establish the second trust, right? We can do the three options. So let's just go ahead and do the dual push. So right away, I already got a notification on my phone because I'm on 3G. So the half second it took for everything to go, it's already on my phone. So then I get the login request on my phone saying, hey, someone wants to connect as this user on this host. Do you want to allow them? I say yes. This is approving. Login approved. I'm SSH to my mouse.
So this would work with just a regular
Regular phone, so yeah.
regular phone, not a
You can do,
smartphone. You have an iPhone there, or?
yeah, I have an iPhone. So yeah, we can do a phone call. Show you that. Just get to my home screen. So I got a phone call.
Not accepting this call. Please hang up. Otherwise, press any key on your phone to log in.
So any key.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So you don't have to have a smartphone. You could actually even use a landline if you wanted to. And then
So does the server have to have a modem and a phone line connected to it?
no,
or how
because
does it?
okay. So what it does on the telephony side, when the second step comes into play, when your server communicates to do a security has infrastructure set up to do telephony stuff. So on the do a security side, those servers initiate, the text message or the push or the phone call.
So it's not just software on your server, it ties into some.
Into a cloud. We'll call
Okay.
it. Yeah.
The telephony part's all done by this dual security
Yeah, so
server out there, so
yeah,
you don't need any
You don't
telephony.
do anything with
And
that.
is this open source?
The binary to run it on your server is open source. They have a GitHub account. The service itself is not open source. They have a free plan that allows up to 10 users. So basically anything that I work on, it would be free for me, and maybe even John.
My own computer.
Yeah, well, like even at your job. If,
Oh, if you just use it for yourself.
Right, if you use it, if you only have a couple sysadmins, it's going to be free. And remember, it's per user, not per device. So you
Right.
could have it, on 60 servers or 100 servers. If you're the only person logging into it, then you're not going to get charged.
Right.
The only little small catch for the free plan is these telephony credits, right? It costs money to send text messages. It costs money to make phone calls. You get 1,000 free. So they really recommend, if you're using the free plan, to use the push, because that doesn't cost anything. It's free, because it doesn't cost them to actually make that transaction or initiate that service. But the text messaging costs money and the phone calls cost money. So you get 1,000, I believe, free credits, and then I think it's like $10 for 1,000 credits.
So the push to just a regular phone,
It costs.
It's still
I
gonna
believe
have to go
I
SMS.
believe it's like one. That's like one credit.
okay, so, but push to your smartphone does not use up.
But what if
Wow, that's
their system got compromised, that their server?
What's that?
What if their server got
You still have to
compromised?
have the one password.
It's still only half of it the
Okay,
person
yeah.
has. If they compromise theirs, they still only got half of
That's
it.
the
good.
whole
That's
point.
good.
They don't know your server.
Because we're talking about security and hearing lots and lots of big companies getting breached, and via one way or another. So yeah, what if they get breached? So what can you do? What can the attacker do? They don't have your information, right? They don't have your password to log into the box or your private key. The actual mechanisms that go into generating the passcode is done via public-private key, I believe, and the private key gets stored on the server.
On their server?
On your server, like it uses a portion of your private key, is my understanding. I could be wrong, but so they would only be able to sign requests with a public key, but they don't have anything to decrypt that. They can't decrypt anything, so they can't really do anything because you are. You have to log in on the machine to set up the new token. Right? You need to be able to be logged on to that machine to set up a new user or to add a new device or a new phone number or something like that. I don't believe them getting compromised is any type of issue because they don't have the other piece of information to do anything.
My other question is, why don't they fully open source this, like, so that it becomes like a standard like SSH or?
My guess is because they want to make money.
Oh.
That's their business model.
Plus, it does need somebody, well, if you were to do it yourself,
Yeah.
which you could, you'd probably be that
Like
super.
Google made your
We'd
own
probably be
server.
honest, unless the thing is patented, you probably could make your own system effectively
Yeah,
do the
because
same thing. It
there-
wouldn't be
there's-
that super hard.
Yeah,
But-
it probably really wouldn't be that difficult. You could probably change the client, to point to your own servers and talk to your server. And you could probably, integrate into something like Twilio, which is like a SMS or a telephony gateway. You can do text messages and phone calls and stuff via APIs. So you could probably make your own service if you wanted to, but they're in here to make money, and they have everything set up for you. And their idea would be if you're using the system with more than 10 users that you actually have to pay for it, you probably have the money to pay for it. So, why not? Why wouldn't you want to?
Well, I hate to think negative thoughts here, but there's a couple things that could cause you grief. Mostly like not being able to get in your system. Well, there's obviously, your
Right. So
your phone gets destroyed or lost or misplaced.
If your phone gets destroyed, you can when it sends you a batch of one-time use passcodes, you could write those down, right, and store it in your wallet or something.
Yeah.
Because you can have it, tell you to send you 5 or 10 or 100, passcodes, and then you just go and order. And it'll tell you the passcode, starting with A or B or D,
Right.
or C or D, to use it. So if you lost your phone, you could still get into the system. Then you can enroll more than one device.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
then
Now let's just say my server, I went into the office, I need to get in to diagnose what's wrong. And the one thing that is wrong is the network. The internet, you can't get to the internet.
Well, if you can't get to
Well-
the internet, but if you're in the office, you're probably not using SSH. Probably. I mean,
Well, yeah, I
probably
guess you can always
probably
tell,
at the-
you
at
can
the
always
console,
do a
but-
console login.
Right, but
yeah.
you also can tell the executable how to handle that situation. You could say, just fall back, just log in, or don't log in.
Okay,
If you
if it can't
right.
make the connection,
Right.
or you
If it-
can do a fallback, so if it is unable to,
Yeah, if it's
Connect
unable
to the network, to them.
establish a communication tunnel between your server and DuoSec,
Okay.
then you can tell it to fall back.
Okay.
And
okay, that covers the most likely issues.
And there's a couple good talks about the founders, or that the founders do, that explains, why they do it and all those types of scenarios. And the reason why they wanted to make this and why there's so many different options, they want to cover all those scenarios.
Well, you could obviously have several, pre-program in several other phone numbers,
Right.
you know, your work number, your home number, your whatever number, or,
Girlfriend's cell phone number, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever, yeah.
Exactly. Now, the other cool thing that they just updated their iPhone, or their iPhone app and Android app. The iPhone app got approved, I don't know about the Android one, but you can actually now set up different companies, or you can actually have multiple accounts on one device. For example, I have my own personal stuff that I use, but then I have my work stuff. And I don't want my, personal server stuff to be tied to the work account. I don't want the work account, or server being tied to, my account. So you can actually have two different, accounts, everything completely separate, different API keys and everything, and then one token, use your one phone, which is really nice because before, I think it was 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, when I was setting up my work one, I couldn't use a push. I only could use like the text message because it was only able to pair with one token, but they just didn't switch that, which is really cool.
You have an app on your phone?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's just communicating over the internet.
So what do you,
Whereas if I had it on my phone,
so what do you do with,
on a
on your phone?
smartphone, it would just go through the,
If you have like a phone that doesn't have the app, you use like the text messaging, basically it will generate those one-time use passcodes, and it will store probably store the hashes on dual security side, and that way, you can write it on a piece of paper or whatever, and then use those passcodes. But if you have internet or you don't have internet.
I saw something in here about VPNs.
Yes, so, any questions? Any more questions so far? That's pretty much it when it comes to using SSH with this service. It's really simple, it's free, which is really nice. I like it, I use it every day, and it's really not a hassle at all. I think only one time out of the past month I've been using it, that one morning I wasn't able to get a push notification, but I was able, in the app you can have it generate a passcode. I'll show you that. You can actually
Oh, so this kind of calls you.
oh yeah, well, I see in the
you.
menu there, it's passcode or option. So you can type in the passcode?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go and you can press the passcode and show you guys, but not the camera. Because you can actually use this code to log into my server now. Use it. But anyways, yeah, so you can generate the passcode on your phone first, and then log in, and then type in the passcode. This problem, right? Because it says passcode or option, so you can just type in the passcode there.
Okay.
Okay, so that's SSH stuff. So other uses, why they're becoming a really, really big company fast, is they have integration into VPNs, which is really nice. So all the big name, Juniper, Cisco, SonicWall, they do Citrix stuff, OpenVPN, there's hooks and stuff you can do, all that. And they also have an API that you can tie into your website. So for their kind of examples, they have, I believe they have a WordPress kind of plugin and a Drupal plugin that you can install on your site and enable the service and do the same thing like you would log in SSH, but on your website, actually.
That's nice.
So, so theoretically, you can use it at anything, as long as you are able to, custom program anything. If that answers that question. Oh, this is sort of what the generate passcode stuff looks like. Though it's a little bit different because they changed the UI when they allowed multiple accounts to be tied to a single phone, a single token, but it's still like that. Yeah, so do security, and then Wikipedia has a pretty in-depth outline of two-factor authentication. And my contact information, email address, Twitter handle. I have some stuff on GitHub, and then my personal website. That's it.
Great.
What was the screen before that one or no?
It had dosecurity.com and then a Wikipedia link. And I'll be actually posting this on my website. And then also, it'll also be on the newlug website. I guess I'll have to put that up there.
Approximately how much they charge for the usage of it here?
I don't know. I know it's...
I always ask that nasty question to salespeople, that's my first question. But if it's, if the number's too high, I just say, don't bother with me.
The pricing, $3 a user per month,
Okay.
up to 500. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of this two-step or two-factor authentication. I know, like Facebook, they do some type of two-factor
And
authentication.
Google does too.
Yep, Google does for sure. I have that set up, so I get a text message for every time I log into my Google account on untrusted computers, which is really nice. But I think more and more, this is just going to become the standard. Two-factor, not necessarily this service or whatever, but the idea of having a device or some type of token to actually log in, because more and more we're seeing passwords just aren't good enough for this day and age. Just simply aren't.
Well, what if you don't have a cell phone or?
If you don't have a cell phone and you don't have a phone that you would have with you, and you can generate the codes. So I don't know if you can actually do it in their admin portion or whatever, their dashboard, but you could get a Google Voice account for free and have it send the passcodes there. You could probably use this service no matter what. There were a couple other ones out there. I don't recall the names. This is just the one I seen. First one I liked. It was easy. Really super good documentation. Their help was really nice. I asked the live chat person why I couldn't have more than one account associated with my phone, and they told me that that wasn't possible, but to check the blog soon for updates on that. And it was really quick response. And then I got an email, no, I got a phone call, because you have to type in all your contact information. I got a phone call from a customer service representative saying, hey, we're just looking at, you asked about this particular service having two accounts tied to one phone, and it's actually done. We're waiting on final touches. It's past testing, all this stuff. So it was really super nice, and she followed up with an email. Which is really nice because I don't pay for anything, but they took the time to call, and they're from Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I was able to understand the lady, which is really nice.
That's
nice.
important.
It is. It is to me for sure. Yeah. Generally, if I can't understand people, I just see. So yeah, that's it. Questions, comments, concerns?
Covered a lot of it.
Cool. And I am done.
Actually sounds like a pretty good system, like, because Google's using it now, but kind of like when I don't have a cell phone, then I can get the text message, so I guess
Yeah.
I'll just use it this way.
If you are using it, yeah, I don't know if it'd be a good use case, for you or not. I would say you could definitely use it, right? There's other ways to go about doing it. You can generate your passcodes and stuff like that, but
Chris just pointed out YUBIKey.
Ubico?
YubiKey.
yeah, YubiKey. Those are hardware
Little-
tokens. I
Yeah,
believe.
little
They're
USB
like
device.
they're like RSA tokens.
Oh, okay, this is Ubico from Ubico.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You can buy the YubiKey from Ubico.
Right. Okay. So those are hardware tokens. So instead of having a
It's
soft
something,
token,
something you have.
right? Instead of having the hardware token or the soft token like your phone,
You use the Ubico.
right? You have to use you could use a hardware token. That's what people have been using probably for what the last 10 years, 20 years now.
Oh,
That's
that
been-
with the RSA, the little.
Yep,
login
just like
piece.
that.
Yeah,
Except
yeah, they're-
all you do is you're gonna plug it in USB and done.
Yep.
You can interface it with OpenVPN, OAuth, bunch
Is
of
it really-
standard.
Yep.
is it really
Yep, and
good?
it's-
Yeah, they mention it all the time
They-
on Security Now.
Yeah, they use those quite a bit now. The problem is that the administration portion really sucks, right? Because if you are deploying it to, 100 users, well, now you have to have 100 keys. You have to go and you have to provision all those keys. You have to tie those keys to the accounts, and then
And you do it all yourself.
right. Where this, you set up the system, and then you can allow people to enroll themselves. These people have access to enroll themselves, and you don't have to worry about any of that at all. Which is really nice.
Is there any way with, let's say you've got an online account with ABC Bank, and they may or may not have something, two-factor authentication set up already. What do you do other than beg them to do something like that?
You'd probably use a unique, strong, crazy password and a password manager for their site. I right now use, I have about 8 active passwords that I use. 2 passwords I use just on any site. I kind of rotate those out. 8 character, a couple of numbers. Then I have about 4 8 character, completely random with upper and lowercase and characters that I use for a couple different sites that I kind of divvy those up. That way, well, I don't like keeping a password manager with me. I use like one pass or something, on your phone, because then if you want to go on a website on your phone, then you have to go and open up the password database and, get the password. Because if you're going to use a password database, you might as well, use a, 20 character, password, unique password for that site. Show them anyways.
Assuming you haven't got a key logger.
Right.
Right.
Yes. And that goes to the whole password stuff. Because if your system's compromised, anyone can do anything that they want to. anything, you know, they want to, you know, grab your SSH keys and then key log you for your passphrase. Well, you know, that sucks. Now they can, you know, they own your box, but if you have to have a token, right, chances are, unless you're a very, 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 very targeted person, you know, they're not gonna get access to
They're not
your
gonna
phone.
key log
Yeah.
that.
Well, they could, you know, they could maybe even get what you did exactly during that one login, but that key is no longer any good.
Right.
Whatever you did to get in login the time that they did it, they'll have your
Yeah,
passphrase
right,
possibly,
if
but
they
they
do
don't
your-
have, they will not help them get by the
The-
other method.
Right, yeah, because if they do like man-in-the-middle attacks, and then they capture your session and they're able to decrypt the SSL traffic and everything, great, that's awesome. All those tokens that were consumed in the process are all invalid now, because you consumed all of them. And next time you go and you log in, new ones get generated. So it can't really do anything with it. The only thing I could see somehow is I haven't enrolled multiple devices, so I don't know how easy or difficult it is to do that. That would be one thing I could think of, like, oh, if I can get access to their dashboard, I can just enroll a new device and they won't ever
Right,
know.
well, if you get in once, you basically are,
Right.
you're done, you know. If they manage to get in once, you're
But-
dead, basically.
But to log in, see, but that's the thing, it's like to log into the admin portion, they do the two-factor, and they just call your phone. You don't get a push notification, they call your phone.
So what happens if you lose your phone? Then you like you said, you have other options.
Yeah, you would hopefully have more than one phone set up. Would
Although I suppose if you got the fail-safe on there too, if it could not contact that phone, would it?
No, it will only, that failsafe only works if it can't establish a connection back to a security.
Oh, okay.
So if you're like locally, you're sitting in your office, you know, the fiber got cut outside and you're trying to get into the machine,
Right,
you can still be on your desktop.
right.
But if you lost your phone and you don't have any,
Backup.
if you don't have any backup, I don't know what the recovery process is. Hopefully you would have more than one thing. You know, or like if you need a phone, you can grab at least your passcodes, or make it a loaner phone quickly. Hope nothing breaks. Set up your secondary as a Google Voice. Always do that. Then you can have Google Voice route to any other phone. And you can get your text messages on Google Voice, or get it via the web.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
Can you deactivate someone's account?
Yeah, from the admin portion, you can do stuff like that. I just set it up and used it. I looked into how it worked, and that's the extent I know about it. I'd recommend it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Seriously, it's nice.
I'll have all the slides up on the website and about the recording and everything for people who missed it. People who thought Packers versus Bears was better than my presentation.
Right.
That's all I got.
Rocks.
That's why I'm leaving now, but first priority was to see you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Yeah.